hope you guys have a good weekend, and whoever has left behind might have completed their part. So yeah, any questions on your last topics? It was query entity, right?
So, whatever the query
Mhm.
entities we did, right, we can do it by using the designer as well, right?
Yep, yep, you can. But the thing is that you will not be able to understand it, each thing, because the Appian will create the query for you, right? I mean, you just give the instruction and it will create the query. We'll see that option as well. But let me finish that topic, and then we have lots of things in this query entity to do. So let me share my screen. Yeah, go ahead. And you were saying something.
No, no, very good.
Okay. Okay. Share my screen. All right. So we created this employee details query, which is very static, and then user will get, if they execute this particular query, then they will get the result for this where name is Anil and then last name is something like this. Okay, so they will get the result for this particular thing. Now, if I want to make this very dynamic, right, and then user should get this record based on their requirement. So how do we do that? So before going to that part, let me just first explain you that in Appian we have around four kinds of variables, right? One variable is called local variable. Local, as its name suggests, it will be locally available to that particular function or the rule or the expression, wherever you are creating that variable, right? There it will be available. Second is that rule input. So role input is a kind of a variable where it is used to pass the information from one place to other information, right? It's if you talk about the general terms, it is kind of a global variable. All right. And then third is the process variable, process variable which is being used into the process models. And then we have AC, accumulative variables, which is also is being used in the process, which is similar of the local variables. Okay, so we'll see each one of them. I just explained that what are kind of variables are available. We'll see how to use those variables as well. Uh, for now, I'm just going to create a rule input variables, which will be used to pass and retrieve the information in both way, right? I mean, pass it and then retrieve it in both way. So we'll see how it works. So we expand this window. You see, there's a small arrow has given. You click on that one, and you will see that it says rule inputs, and then there's a plus icon. You click on it, and it will allow you to create a variable type. So let's see what variable type we need. So we need a first name. Let's say create a variable called first name, and the type I'm going to give it is a text. Okay, why I'm going to create this one? So we can make this rule as a very dynamic. Okay, now how do we refer this variable in our code? So to refer this rule input, it's very easy. Just say, instead of hard coded value, just say ri rule input bang. It will start giving the suggestion, put the name. Okay, similar way we can create another rule input. We'll say it's a last name. Here we can select the type, and then here again I'll go and make changes as a ri bang last name. Now this rule is become dynamic. Whoever will call this rule and they will pass their requirement, they will get it based on their result. Now suppose I don't remember the inputs. Let me go database. Okay, Satyam, Anil, and Raju. Okay, let's say I'm passing the information as Satyam. Okay, now test the rule. Okay, now one more thing. It is breaking. Why it is breaking? I'll tell you again. First of all, let me go. It's Kumar. So let's go and set Kumar. So if I pass this information, it will give you the result based on the Satyam Kumar. If you pass Anil, then it will give you the result based on the Anil. If I test this one, I'm not getting anything because if there's an AND operator is being used and first name and last name Anil Kumar is not, no user is there. That's why I'm getting this no result. Right now, why it is breaking? Before I go that part, any question here? Role input. Okay. Now, why it was breaking? So Appian says, right, if you are using an equal operator here, if you are using an equal operator and you are not passing any value, then it won't work. According to Appian, it says if you are not passing any value, either you don't use equal operator, or what you do, you use some condition. So I don't apply this filter. So for each query filter, there is a condition called apply when. It says apply when I need to apply. If it is not null, right? So when my first name is not null, so if I use is null function, so is null function checks either your value is null or not. What is not null? Ri bank first name, and top of it, sorry, in top of it I will apply the not operator. So what will happen? It says is null function will give true or false based on the value. So for now, first name has the value, so is null will become false, and top of we have applied not, so false of not it will become true, so it will be apply this query filter. Now same way, if I say is null on last name, what it will return? It will return true, right? Because the last name is null, and top of it I will apply not operator. So if top of it, if I apply not, now it will become false. If I it will become false, then this query filter will not execute. Now if I go and click on test rule, it will work. Why last name when comparing the value? Last name previously is null, not taking it. Whoa, this is new. Oh, sorry. Ah, come on, guys. You should ri last name. We should be doing into apply when, right? Okay. I have not putting any value to this one, and we have applied a apply when condition. When it should be applied, if this is not null. Now, if you click on test rule, now you are getting the result. Okay. Any question here, guys?
I think one question here. So you are using so
Mhm.
many functions, keywords, apply when, and all these, right? Is not null or something. So is there any documentation available to know all these keywords or
So,
functions, whatever it
as
is?
I mentioned, right, like if you click within the function, right, it will give you which all the parameters are used to, for this particular function. So we have used the field, we have used the operator and then value, and then the apply when. So if you click inside this function, it will again give you each documentation. Apply when, it says boolean determines whether the filter is applied on query. When set to false, the filter is not evaluated. So how do we do the false? So these functions, right, these functions you need to get remember, right? I mean, this you have to, it's a think logic, right? You have to think about it. Okay, what, how we can check this null or not? So as a function, it gives the function's names based on their conditions, like as I said, right, is null, if it is null or not. So that kind of function is there. If you don't recall it, then you can start typing, okay, I need to check the null condition. If you type null, right, it will start giving you all these functions available with the name null. So that is how you can think about it. So, and then we have to apply the not operator. So this everything is there, like based on their name and then their functionality. So you can think in that way. And if you talk about
Okay.
the documentation, it's there. If you click inside the function name, you will be able to see everything here. What are the operators are
Yeah,
there?
that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine. So whenever we type something, it is showing up. But assume that
Correct.
we don't know anything. We are new to this APN, and we want to go through that some functions. Is there any available some features which will
Yes, yes, yes.
work
There are
for our
certain
requirement?
functions. Yeah, there's a one function documentation. I'll be create some document. Last time, I mean, there was my previous organization, I had all my documentation, everything is get deleted. Now I'm creating for each topic. If you see here, um, I'm creating the documentation again because last time I had a document and it got deleted. Something happened and then I lost all my documents. So I'm just preparing it again. I'll be giving it to you guys, sharing on the topic. I mean, topic wise and then function wise and all the list of the functions. I'll be sharing it soon. Okay.
No. So, sorry, Ravi. So, I think what I'm
Mhm.
asking is like if you see that Python is maintaining documentation. If you type Python tutorial in,
Even Appian,
uh,
even Appian also maintain the documentation. I'll be, if you want, I can share the link, right? But it will
okay,
happen. It will have a lot of things are there, and you will again get confused. So if you are okay with the documentation link, I'll give it to you. Okay,
oh,
I'll
okay,
share.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You know what happened, if you go with the topic wise, then you will be able to collect, okay, this is the things you will able to connect the topics and all. If you gave you the entire documentation at the same time, again you will get confused, right? So that's the thing. If you want, I can give
Yeah,
it to you, not an issue.
yeah, understand. Initially, it
Mm.
is very difficult to go through the
Yes.
documentation. Yeah,
Yes, exactly. So I have seen this thing. I have given the initial document everything, and then they started running, reading something else, and then they are asking questions off the record. I'm going through query entity. They are asking questions for this one. Oh, I read this. Okay, and attention, there was one person. Can you explain me? Which very disturb the class even, right? So that's the thing. All right, I will share all the links and all. It's no worries. So any questions here? I mean, is it that difficult to understand? Or yeah, guys, any other one? Any question? Okay. So now, as there was some questions, right? Is there any possibility that we can retrieve only, a required number of columns? I don't want to get all the columns. Yes, so there are the possibilities. Again, we have inside the query function, right? We have one more function, one more parameter. Let me remove this. We have a parameter called selection. Wait, sorry. Let me put a comma here and then selection. So you see this one, right? If I click inside the query function, I will see all the available parameters are there. So we have used paging info, we have seen the filter, we have seen logical expression. Now we are going to see the selection. One more thing, it's not required to be in the particular order it is given. You can use within this function at any position. Okay, so don't worry about that. The order. So now suppose I don't know. I have seen the selection. Okay, I know that selection is being used for the filter out the columns, which columns I need, but I don't know how to use that. What to do next? So now you go to the selection. It says array of fields to retrieve created with a bank query selection function. Okay, so it says we need to use a bank query selection function. So I'll say a bank query selection function. What is inside the query selection function? It says creates a query selection configure using a bank query. Okay, columns. It says list of column I need to provide. Array of query columns indicate which fields to retrieve created with the a bank query column. Now it says inside this function we need to use a parameter called columns, and that can be used. That's an array of it, and then that can be based on the a bank query column function. Right now inside the a bank query column, it says there are three fields: field, alias, and visible. So I'll say field. Field is, say suppose I need first name. Okay, um these all are the optional, right? It's not required. Alias, the short name which is resulting value can be referenced, and then visible determines if column is retrieved is only available for sorting. So these all things are there. If you don't even use that, that is fine. It's not required everything to be used. I'll just say copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Here I'll say last name. Here I'll say DOB, and here I'll say um, let's say employment status. Okay, now if I go and click on test rule, now my result has been reduced to this four columns only. Okay, so this is how we can use the query columns, I mean selections property to retrieve the value in that way. Okay, any question? Now if I also want to make it very dynamic, like it depends on the user. If the user wants to have all those columns, or the user wants to have some certain columns, so what we can do is we can create one more rule input, and then we say column list. Say we'll give the name of column list, and it is going to be text type, but it is going to be a multiple. So I'll just check this checkbox. So what will happen? This will become a text list of text string. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll just pass all those things here. I'll say first name, and then I'll say last name, and then I'll say DOB. Okay, these are all things I need. And here, what I will do, I will say apply. Okay, now if you remember, as I mentioned the very earlier session, that how the code looks like, and if you want to put some any business logic to it, how we will do. Okay, so there is a function called if condition, right, which is you have written read in your college time as well. So if condition, you say if is null. Again, we are going to use is null. What is null? Or there's one more function called is null or empty. So if I'm going to check the array, it's an array, right? So we can use is null or empty. What is null or empty? If my ri column list is null or empty, then do not do anything. I mean, do not apply any selection. Else, we can say else apply this. Okay, so you see, I just have applied this is null condition. I'm checking that if my ri column list is null, then do not do anything. It's written this null. Otherwise, apply this query selection. Now, if I click on text tool, I'll get the values. If I put it null, then it will give me the entire result, all the columns. So this is how you can also put your condition. Okay, any doubt?
Rabi, can you say it again?
Sorry.
Can you say it again? The null
Okay, so this is a
function.
simple condition, right? Like what I'm checking if the user has provided any value for this column list, then you apply for the query selection. If they have not given any column list, it is blank, then it's just a null. The query selection is null, then what it will do, it will not apply any filter on your selection. It will return you the entire column. You see
Okay.
this? Yeah.
Yes.
So this is
Yes.
how we can apply the if condition. How if works, right? If condition and then true and false. Right. This is how the working of the if condition. Let me give you
Okay.
some. Okay. So this is the what about the. There's one more thing that is called the grouping, the aggregation thing. So we'll see in some scenarios where it might need. We'll see that. But this is the all about the query entity for now. Let me know if you have any question. Then we can move to the other thing, other topics, the local variables, and how we can work with that.
So in the if condition, we no need to use any else statement or something. So
Yeah, this is
how it
this
is
is what
working?
the else statement. So this is okay. Let me show you here. So this is the first condition is the first thing is called condition. Okay, I'm just putting this comment. So this is one more thing. You can this is how you can put a comment. So this is the condition. This is the true part. Else, this is the false part. Okay. So if has three things: condition, true part, false part. Okay, in the false part, it's all comma separated, right? So you see, this is a condition which is comma separated. So if condition is true, then they will do this part. Otherwise, they will do this part. So this is called else part. We don't have to write else. We'll see. Let me show you the variables. But before that, going there, do you have any questions in the query entity? You know me, guys. I'll start asking questions to you now if you have. If you don't have, I see many has joined new. Like Mahavir, is it your first session? Mahavir and Dhruva. Let's see. Okay, Alex, any question? I mean, in this query entity, are you good?
Yes, I'm good. I just gotta go over the expressions later on the video. I'll just look it up again, but I got the idea.
Okay. So, Kiran, this is a query entity, guys, and it will be being used most of the places in the application. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to practice, Ravi. I think practice will
Mm.
get us done. I mean, right now theory looks okay, but I think we have to practice.
Okay. All right. Um, okay, then let's move to the next topic. It's called something variables, and we'll see how the variables are being used in Appian, and then how to work with those variables. Okay, give me a second. Sorry about that. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so let's go and create one test rule which might clear your concept of variables. So I'm going to create a test rule. Just say in the expression, I'll just give the name IMS test rule 1 for okay. Okay, so as I said, we have four types of variables. So we'll learn here two or three, and then we'll see process variables and the other variables while creating the process models and all. Okay, so to create a local variable in Appian, right? So what there's a function called local variable function, as the name suggests, right? Local variables. If you start typing, it gives you the function that is called local variables. If I use this local variable functions, now within this we can create our own local variables. So let's say we're going to create a local bang, uh, let's say x, okay, local bang x. So to create a local variable, we need to declare as a local bang. It means this x is a variable which is named as name as an x, but it is locally to this particular expression rule. So this is called the local bang. Okay. Now I'll say local bang y. So now there are two variables, and one more thing, guys, you don't have to decide the type of the local variables. It automatically understand the type. Now if I'm going to assign a value, so for assigning a value we need to use the colon. So assign a value, let's say if I say 10, it will understand that this local x is an integer. Okay, now if I go and I'll say assign value 20 to this local y, it will have the value local 20 to y. Now if I simply go and do local x, okay, plus local y, okay. Now if you click on test rule, you will be able to see the output here as a number integer. It's a number integer. So local x has 10, local y has 20, and then local x plus y we have 30. Okay, now suppose if you want to create your own function which will be do the addition, what we can do, we can do this thing. But now this is going to be a hard coded value. Right now if you want to make it dynamic, okay, so I create a rule input. I say number x, I'm going to give the type as a number integer, and I'll say number y, I'll say number integer. Okay, and then here what I will do, I don't want any local variables now. I don't declare any local variables. So I'll just say rule input ri number x plus ri number y. So this rule is going to do some addition. So now if I pass here 10 and if I pass 20 here and test the rule, it will still give the 30. Like if I change here, suppose some user wants to make pass a 30, it will give the 40. So we can make this rule anything rule as a dynamic, and we can work on that one. So this is how we can pass the rule input and we can make use of rule input. Okay, all right. Now let's say based on the based on the role input, the role input variables, we want to do some calculation and then return the result. So let's say I'll declare local x here. Okay. Now in the local x, what I will do, I will say whatever number x is coming from the outside, so like Ri number x, do a multiplication of 10. Okay. And for same for the local y, if you have something in your Ri number y, do a multiplication of, let's say, 2, and then add the local variables, local bank x plus local bank y. Can anyone tell me what can be the result of this one if this is the input? If I click on test roll, what should I get?
$160.
That is correct. So this is how you can manipulate your values, but it becomes a dynamic, right? Whatever I want to bring the data from the outside and then do some calculation. So this is called a local variable. Okay. Sorry. Any doubt here in the local variables?
Yes. So local variable in the sense like we are going to use them only in this expression or like only in the tag?
Yes, only this within this function, wherever you have declared this. So this is a local variable function and this is getting closed here. So within this local will be available. And this is what we are returning. So what is happening here? So you know this, when we execute this rule from somewhere, I'll get this result. So but you cannot, if you say like what is the value of local x and local y, you will not know, right? Because we are not returning that. Outside we are not returning local x and local y. This will be locally available to this function only, but we are getting
This
the
local
addition.
this,
Yeah.
This local x and y, these local variables, I cannot use outside this local variable tag.
No, you cannot. Okay,
If I want
let's see
to
that example. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see that example as well. Okay. I'll say here declare one more local variable, local z. Okay. And the local z, I'm assigning this local x plus local y. Okay. Now
Correct.
what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put if I'll say local bank z is greater than 150. Okay. Declare one more local variable function here, and here I'll say local bank a and local bank b. I have declared two variables. In local a, I say local z plus 10, and here I say local z plus 20, and here I'm going to say local bank a plus local bank b. Okay, now you tell me this z will be available here or not?
It should be available.
Where? Within this if condition?
Yes, it should be, right? It should
Yes, it will be, because this z is being declared as a globally here. I mean in the top of, and this if condition is within this local variables, right? So that's why it will be available.
Okay.
Now if I do this thing, like if I remove this control, I'll just do controls x here, and I do like something like this. I just declare an array, and here I put a comma and put like this. Now will the local z will be available here? This local variable is getting ended here. You see it says local z is not found, right?
Okay.
Because this local z I have declared outside of this local variable function. So that's why it is not able to find it.
Okay.
Now if I take this one control x here and put it here, and if I type here, so what it will do, it will say if local z is greater than 150, then do all this calculation. Otherwise return the local z. So this is a if condition here, right, guys? So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to say if my local z, this is a condition, local z is greater than 150, then do this calculation. Otherwise, return the whatever value we have it. Okay. Now, if I say if I want to use this local a outside of this if condition, will it be possible?
Outside of if, no.
Right, because this local a and local b are locally to this local variable. So if I try to use local a here, if I type local a, it's not available, right?
Correct.
It's not available. Why? Because this local a has been declared within this local variable. Okay.
So if we are declaring at the root level and we can reassign in the internal, right? For example,
for example, here you see the z we have declared it to root level, right? This is the, because everything is within this local variable. So z is available here as also.
no, that is not assigning to z. What I'm telling, let's assign local variable a on the root level, and same variable we can use in the below,
then
right?
you can use it. Yeah. Like
Oh,
instead of declaring here, if I would have declared the top level, right, then it will be available everywhere.
correct. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So telling anyone, guys, what is the output of this? I mean, what I will get it in the return.
It's greater than 150, so the middle function will execute.
So what?
So 160 plus 10 and 160 plus 20, 170, 180. It's sum of
And then
170
addition
plus
of
180.
those.
Yeah.
So we'll get the result of this one. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how the if condition works. Any question on the if condition? Or any question on the local variables, how it declare and all? Clear, guys? No question?
So I have one more question. So when we execute any of the expressions, right, whatever the variables we are returning, those variables we can use outside, or only those variables will be used only inside this?
So this 350, right? You will get the, when you will execute this rule from the outside, you will get the 350, because this is what we are returning at the end.
Correct.
So you will be get
So
the
is it assigned to
calculation,
some
but
variable? By default, is it assigned to some variable, or it will be some data
no,
kind
the
of?
output. So if this is a expression rule, whenever we create an expression rule, it always expect some values to be written. If you don't return any value, it will throw the error. For example, let's see, if I say here, right, let me create a local bang xyz. Okay, this is the calculation, whatever the calculation we are doing, right, we are assigning to the local xyz. Okay, and I'm just doing the an assigning part here. I'm not returning xyz anywhere, right? If I click on test role, it says an expression evaluation error, right? Its result value not a definition of local variable. It says you are not returning anything, right? The final parameter is not given. Now what I need to do to return it, I'll just say local bang xyz. Now whatever collection we are doing it, right, now I'm going to return it. Now if I click on test role, now I'll get the result. So user will get this result now. So we have to return it. So any expression rule, whatever you are creating, any expression rule that is treated as a function and which required something to be returned. If you don't return properly, it won't work.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. Questions, guys? Come on. By the way, who was asking these questions? Kiran or Musalla? Sorry, I still confuse the voices. And it will take some time. Musalla. Okay, fine. Okay. Other no questions? Good. Okay, so we have seen how we can make use of rule input, and then how we can make use of the local variables. Okay, now if you don't have any questions, then we'll move to our regular topic. We have seen the query entity. Now what we need to do is we need to start creating one small interface, where we can see, we can query the data and then see if it is returning the result or not. If you don't have any question here. All right. So, I mean, there are a lot of functions that we need to work on, the local variables and then the functions that we need to look. But I just wanted to make it related to the topic wise so we can understand the things what we're going through. All right, let's go and create one small interface. I'll just say new interface. And here I'll say display employee search screen. This interface is used to display the employee search section. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to create an interface where we are going to display some employee search section, where we'll have some, like, based on some criteria, if user wants to make some search and get the result, we can try to get that. Okay, let's say create. All right, so now this is the interface, I mean the blank interface for now, that whenever you create an interface, it will look like something like this. And as the Appian says, it's a drag and drop. You can drag and drop the things, or if you want, you can go with the expression mode. So there are two modes, design mode and the expression mode. In the design mode, you can drag and drop the components, whatever you want to do it, and then Appian will create a form for you. I mean, all the codes for you, it will create it. Okay. Whenever you open a new interface, create interface, it also gives you some of the templates as a blank template. If you click on this one, it will create an entire code for based on that template. You see it here, right? So you can also have a look, like if you want to have some, like it gives us some images like here, right? So if you want some template to be created like this, you don't have to drag and drop manually, and then you just click on it and then you will be able to create it. So likewise, there are lots of interface components they have given for the examples, some request form, short form, some dashboard. If you want to just see, right, how your interface can look like, you just go and click on any one of them and it will be giving you the interface like that. So let's say I want to see a sales dashboard. What an example of sales dashboard, how can it will look like? Just click on it and it will give you the some interface code and you need to go and configure the data according to yourself. All right, so this is how we can see some of the examples of the interface. Okay, let's see a few more. If I say sales dashboard, suppose if I want to get some, like request form, how a request form can look like. So this is how you can create a request form, and then it will be able to give the information and all right. So you can learn by clicking on those and how the code will behave. But that is the thing, when you are kind of an expert, you know what the code has been created inside, and you understand, okay, what can be the interface look like, what is your requirement, then you can do that. Otherwise, if you want to design your own pattern, like if I want to suppose, if you want to create a form which needs to be submitted and all, you can click a form, just drag it and drop it here. It will start designing a form for you, where we can have the top level layout, and then it says drop the components here. What the components you want? Suppose I want to have some columns, so I just drag these columns and keep it here. By default, it will give you the have 3 columns for one row. You can, if you want, you can add the number of columns here, and within each column what you want to have, like let's say I want to have some text field within this column, so drag it and drop it here, drag and drop it here. Now inside this one I don't want a text field, I want a drop down, so search for a drop down here and drag and drop it here. Okay, now same way, if you want to have some radio buttons, right, so radio buttons, drag and drop it here. Now you can have these radio buttons also. So this is how your interface, you can design your own interface, and if you want to make any changes, you can do that. Okay, so this is the drag and drop. Now if you want to configure some of the things here, not the business logic, but yes, configure some of the things here, it will be easy. I mean, you can do all those things by here, but that will be a pro level, your code, understand it very well, then you can do that. Now if you click on this form layout, you see this, it has been updated here. I'll say here, I'll say suppose IMS request form. Whatever I'm typing in here, you see it is reflecting here as well, right? Now, same way I want to make some changes to the text. So click on the text. It will be reflected here. I'll say name or whatever, right? What you want, the requirement, you can put it here. Now if I want to see some changes, to do some changes here, right now you see the label is the top of the text field. If you want to make it adjacent or side by side wise, we can say adjacent. If you click on adjacent, you see it will come like this. If you want to make it justified, it will something come like this. You can make all those changes here. All right. Now, few more things. If you want to put some instruction to this text field, I'll say this is a sample field. So you see all the text field is displaying it here. Okay. If I make it above, then it will be clearer. Yeah. Okay. So all those things you can configure without getting into the code. As a drag and drop, you can do that. Now, if you want to put some help tooltip, so all those things you can, let's say this field. So if you type something in your help tooltip, what it will do, it will create a question mark on the label of your name, of the text field, and then if you mouse over, then it will start displaying the whatever the text is given for the help tooltip. Okay. Now if here's a placeholder, so if I put a placeholder, please add a name. So you see here the placeholder is displaying here. As I say, it says please add a name. So in the text field, if you want to have some values, it says please add a name. Whatever is given here, it will come out here. Now here it comes the display value and save into all those things here, right? If you haven't created any variables yet, then yeah, it won't be populating up here. But you can still go to the code here and add it as an expression, which will give the created. But this is a pro level. Even if you are very confident your app in design, then you can do that. Okay. Now this is all about the drag and drop. If you have any question in the drag and drop, please let me know. No questions? Come on guys, please ask if you have doubts. Otherwise you will end up with having lots of doubts in your mind, and then very difficult to understand.
So these buttons also we can move here and there, like cancel and all.
Yeah, definitely. You can move it from here and there. It's a button layout that is being used. And beside the button layout, we have the column layout, so we can do that. List of buttons it has, right? So you can do that. Now let's see what Appian has does inside for you. Suppose this is your code you wanted to create, right? Have you written any single line of code for now? No, right? Now if you go to the expression mode, then you will see that Appian has created all this code for you. You don't have to write it. Okay. So this is how Appian works for your interface designing. For any text field, anything, you don't have to write any code, it will create it for you. Now that is the thing. Okay, you can do that. But now to learning purpose, right? To know the things, how Appian actually do this, and what's the logic behind it, and then how do we create it? We'll need to do it by ourselves. So I'll just say Control A and delete. I deleted all the interfaces things. Now we'll go and we'll start designing the code based on our requirement. Okay. So from where we'll start? Let's say we'll start from the A bank local variable functions, because we will require something to be captured. Based on that, we will query the data to the query entity and get the result, right? So first of all, let's say we decided that we need to create a local we need to have some text field. We can give first name, last name, and then let's say we give the date field. Say let's say we put the date of birth. Okay. So based on these three data, we want to make a query to our database, and then we need to return the result. So that is what our purpose is. So this is the requirement that business has asked you: create a search screen for me where I can make query a search based on first name, last name, and date of birth. Okay, so this is what their requirement is. So let's go and create a local variable. First of all, I'll create a local variable for local first name. Okay, in the same way, I will create a local variable for last name. I always get Okay, and then I'll create another local variable for, let's say, DOB. So I have not declared the type. These two are going to be a text and this is going to be a date. So I have not declared the type yet. Okay. All right. Now we need to have a section. So when I say I need to have a section, I can say, let's say, section layout. So all the things, right, in the interface, it comes as a layout. Okay, section layout. So for each section, we can put some label. So I'll say label, and the label says employee search. As soon as you start typing it here, anything that needs to be displayed on the screen, it will start displaying it here as well. You can see on the right side. Okay, so it says employee search. It is going to be a top level of the section. We are going to create we have created a section, right? And then inside this section, what we need to do, we need to put some contains. What contains needs to be displayed. So let's say I'll say contains, and inside the contains, I will use a bank columns layout. This is the same columns layout that we have used by creating the drag and drop. Okay, and then within the each column layout, I need 3 columns: one column for first name, one column for last name, one column for DOB. So in this way, the all will be become in displayed into the same line. Okay, or if you want to put one by one, that is also we can do that, but we want to utilize the screen completely, so we'll use the columns layout, and for each columns layout, it says what are the columns. Okay, now as I said, right, I need 3 columns. So for each column, there is a function called a bank column layout. There is no S. Now if you think, like, how do we know all these things, right, you can click inside this one and you will be able to see in the documentation, right, and it also has given the documentation link here directly. If you click this one, right, it will open an Appian documentation part where you can go and learn all those things that is possible within here. Okay, got it? Okay, so as I said, I need to use 3 column layout. So I'll just copy this column layout, and column layout. But nothing is visible here, right? You are not able to recognize if anything is happening or not here because we have not put anything inside this column. So now let's start with the first column. I'll say contained. And in this contained, I'll say a bank. For text field, we have a bank text field function, a bank text field. And then here in the label, I'll say first name. As soon as given the first name, it started displaying here. Okay, and then we have label position. Okay, and then label position, if you want what are the possible values for the label position, you just need to drag scroll here and you'll be able to find it. So label position, it has above, adjacent, justified, and collapse. So we have above by default, we say adjacent. If I say adjacent, it will look like something like this. Okay, if you put justified, it will change it like this. Okay, so basically the justified and adjacent is used for the read only, but for the Appian suggests, right, for the editable fields, we should be using above, which looks good on a screen. Okay, this is for the first name. Okay, now let's copy this and put it inside the second column layout. I'll just do it here, and I change the name as the last. Okay, now you see we have created 2 columns. We have given the values for the 2 columns, so 2 columns are displayed here. Now for the third one, instead of text field, I need a date field. So simply a bank date field. Okay, and then label, I will say DOB, and then label position, I will say above. Okay, so this is how we can put the columns. 3 columns we have defined, and out of 3 columns we have given this first name, last name, and DOB. Any question till here, guys?
Yeah, can we change the label size?
This size? No, you can't.
Yeah. Okay, it is the
No,
default, right?
it's a default. You cannot change it.
Understood.
There are certain things to do that. The possible ways, I mean, we use a rich text display field to provide the name as according to our requirement and hide this label. I mean, don't display anything here. Okay, so what will happen, I will use a rich text display field to display the first name at the top, and then I can put any style, anything according to our requirement, and then I don't display it, so it will look like it is for this one, but you have to design the code in a such way. That's possible, yeah, but nothing within this text field, you cannot change it here for this label
Understood.
attribute. We'll see that one. I mean, when we design some rich text display field, we'll see how to design that. Yeah, any question here, guys? What is the columns layout? What is the section layout? And why haven't we used the variable yet? What is the use of this one?
Maybe we will we will use to display the values of it.
Exactly, to display the value and to also capture the value what user has typed in. Okay, now let's say if I say Anil here, okay, I have typed the value Anil, but we are not doing anything, right? We are not performing anything where it needs to be saved, where it needs to be captured all. If we click outside, it's gone, it's not saved anywhere. So to do so, we have to do something. So if you for go to the text field, right, text field parameter, we have something called save into. Okay, save into whatever user is typing, I want to save that value to some variable, right? So I'll say local bank, come on, local bank first name. Now if I go and type Anil here and click outside, it's gone, but it has been saved somewhere. So if you come here, you see it is captured in the first name. But that is not a good thing, right? I mean, if your user is typing something, they also need to see what they are typing it and what's the value it has been captured. So what I need to do, there is a parameter called value parameter. So what is the value that is currently it is holding? So I'll say local bank first name. If I say the value parameter, now user will be able to see what they have typing in. Okay. In the same way, we need to do it for the last name. So I'll say save into local last name, and then we have to put the value parameter local bank last name. In the same way, we have to do it for the DB. So I'll say local bank DOB, and then value parameter local bank DOB. Okay. Now, if user will type anything here, right? If they say KUMAR, and then DOB is going to be like something. It's a date parameter. It gives you the a calendar for you to select the date and all. So this is how the date parameter field works. And then you see all those values are here now. Now, based on this value, we can do whatever we want. If you want to make a query, we can, query the data based on this one, right? Okay. So before we go to that part, any question, any doubt here, guys? No?
Can you scroll down? Like, what is the value we used for data bar?
Whatever we have declared, right? Local DOB. You see the local DOB is treating now as a date.
No. We saw the calendar for the selection, right?
Yeah, it's here. So click on
How
calendar.
it came?
Because we have used the date field.
Okay, it's date field. Okay.
Right? These all are the text field. It is a date field.
Got
it. Date field gives you this thing, calendar. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So questions, guys. Again, I'm just repeating.
Ravi, what is the columns layout and column layout? Means inside columns layout we can put column layout.
Exactly.
Means it is for single it is column, and if I are using multiple inside the columns, we put column.
No, I'll show you. I'll just minimize the code, then you will be able to understand. So what I'm going to do, I'm just minimizing each code. So top function is a columns layout. This says, okay, now you want to divide your number, particular row in multiple columns. And number of column layout you will given, it will create the number of rows for column for you. 1, 2, and 3. Let's say if I want to put one more column layout, and then I'll say for contained, I'll just create one more text field, and then the text field label I'll say anything test. So you see, it's one more column has been added, and it says test.
Yes.
Okay. Now instead of this text field, let's say I want to have a bank button layout, and then in the button layout I'll say primary buttons, and then we have, let's say I don't remember what the things are there, primary buttons, so we can use a bank button widget here for the primary buttons we can use. So I'll say a bank button widget, and then label I say search. Okay, now if I go here, it's actually created one button for me which says search. Okay, so this is how we can put it. Now let's show it here on the screen, and then we'll try to make some changes. Let me, yeah, this is way. So this is not looking good, right? This search is not looking good here. What I need to do, I think this search will look good if I put it below the this lines, right, below the first column. So what I'll do, I'll just remove this button layout code from here, Control X, delete this column layout because 4 columns are not looking good. Okay, now we have these 3 things, and then after this columns layout that we have the top level, I just put a comma and paste the button code here. Now it's coming below, right? Now it looks good according to the previous one. So we can adjust our code according to that. Okay, so this is not part of this columns layout because this is outside of this columns layout. So columns layout is the parent function, and within this columns layout we can use multiple column layout. Okay, got it?
Yes. And section layout means the whole application is section layout.
The whole, yeah, in entire whatever we are going to put, that we are going to put within a section, so it seems like a section layout.
Okay.
Now if I want to have 2 different sections, right, let's say if I want to have 2 different sections, I need to divide this screen into the array, and then copy this part and do Control X and put it here. So this is one section layout. Now if I want to put one more section layout, so why not, I'll just copy paste the things, right? I just copy things here again. I'll remove everything. So it's now you see 2 sections has been created. I'll say this one, I'll say search result. Okay, and then for now I'm going to remove everything because I don't need anything for now, right? I'll just delete this thing. So we have designed 2 section layouts. The first section is says employee search, where user can put all those value and click on search. When user click on search, I need to display the result into the search result section. So we can display the data here, whatever is returning based on the selection, right? So that we can display it here. So these are 2 sections we can display in one code. It's not like one code is for only one section. Okay, clear? Likewise, you can define your own, there are many layouts, right? So we can, yeah. Okay.
So can you scroll down to this button layout once, please?
Yeah.
So button layout, it should be primary button. Okay.
No, I mean, see, why is the primary button? If I use as a secondary button, come on, not here. If I use instead of primary buttons, if I use as a secondary buttons, and just copy paste the same thing. I'll give the name as search new. So you see, primary buttons always be on your right hand side, secondary buttons on your left hand side. So this is the difference. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say put it clear. If we have this, put it clear. Yeah. Now, if you want to these two buttons at the same position at the same place, you just copy it and paste it here because it's an array, right?
Yeah.
You see, it's gone there. I mean, I just remove this secondary buttons then in that case. So this is how. Okay. If you click on clear, it will get cleared. If you click on search, it will get the result. I mean, this is all adjustment you can do on your screen. And you can play with that. Wherever you want to have something, you can have it. Okay. Yep. Questions, please, guys.
So can we change
Alright.
the color of
Yeah.
buttons? Can we change the color of buttons?
Yes, that is what I was waiting for. I mean, I don't know when you guys were going to ask questions. Okay, so we have clear, right? Clear, it means I want to, it's not going to perform any proper action, right? It's just going to clear the buttons. So we have something called style. Within the button widget, we have something called style parameter. Okay, and in style parameter, there are certain values. If I want to know what are the certain values for the style parameter, I mean for button widget, we can click on inside the button widget. You see the style here, and it says normal, primary, secondary, destructive, and link. So I'll say by default it's a normal, which we are seeing on the screen. I'll say secondary. Because it's doing nothing, it's just clearing it out. I'll say secondary. It's become gray. All right. Now, in the same way, for this button, I want the search button. It seems like it's going to perform some good action like bring the data and all. So I'll say style, and here I will say primary. It become blue. Now let's say we have secondary buttons as well. So let's say secondary buttons as well, and then in the secondary button I will have a bang button widget. I mean, we'll remove this one because it's not required here. It will be more required onto your cancel. I mean, on the main form where you can canceling the flow. I'll say label as cancel, and then I'll say style. I'll say destructive. It will become red. Okay. So these are the default. Some values has given for your buttons.
Okay.
We can't use color numbers.
No, on the button widget you can't use the color numbers. If you want to do so, I mean, you need to design your codes in, instead of buttons you have to type some field, and then in that field, I mean text field, and in the text field you can put some kind of link, and then link. After giving the link, you can put some color. Otherwise you can use card layouts and all, but that doesn't look good. I mean, card layouts are for some different purpose, so it will be a little bit bigger from these buttons. But for the buttons, it has some predefined colors, which is being it's a normal, primary, secondary, destructive, and link.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see there are many things that we can perform on this button. We'll see all those things. But if you guys have any questions here. All right, then let's meet tomorrow. Create some interface for you guys for this employee search, and let's see who has come with some better design. So for your reference, there are many layouts. You can use section layout, card layout, box layout, and then see how all those looks like. Try to create something good. Yeah. All right.
All right. Thank you. See you tomorrow.